I'm Corbett Wall with DV Auction, here with your feeder flash for Thursday, April the 8th, brought to you in part by EPRA Zero by Norbrook. It's a weatherproof pour-on dewormer, approved for all classes of beef and dairy cattle, has 0 days meat withdrawal. For more information, go to norbrook.com. Also brought to you by Duncan Smith at Missouri Farm and Home Real Estate. Look at this turnkey Southern Missouri grass farm, nearly 600 acres near Mountain Grove, Missouri, and that is cattle country, guys. They used to go to the sales down there all the time. Less than $3 million price there. If you guys kind of pool your CFAP and stimulus money, you may be able to just write a check for it right there. But look at what's going on in the markets, $1.20 and beyond. We finally reached it. Now that doesn't mean that we let up on the gas, but we've reached $1.20, and we established your market on Wednesday there. $1.20 in the south, $1.23 in the north, Nebraska primarily there because they're short of market ready cattle. They're trading at quite a premium to everybody else, and the markets just kind of came to the guys, and you know, the board started up a little higher and then backed off a little bit and was a smidge lower there right as the trade started to occur. It caused a lot of people to go ahead and pull the plug right there rather than to keep resisting. But I tell you what, whenever you're gaining $3 at a whack in a week there, that's a pretty good time to do it. Now, your deliveries, we've seen considerable deliveries started this week, with Monday being your first notice day there, and we had considerable deliveries on Monday, more considerable deliveries there on Tuesday, backed off a little bit here on Wednesday, but we may see those same deliveries coming back around again because those cattle have been retendered, you know, and they pay a penalty there, $1 to $2. Then the guys that demand those, you know, they get to put that in their pocket, which helps them with a little bit of their flexibility, and they may just tender those cattle themselves and deliver them themselves. We used to see that a lot back in the day, you know, maybe 20, 30 years ago, and I was involved in some of that, especially in the Midwest. There was days in Sioux City at the old stockyards there that they would just keep delivering the same cattle over and over and over, and the cattle would actually never leave the premises, and that was quite an event back in the days. But we're starting to see that come back around, and your delivery process is really what keeps your live cattle having some bite to it, and that's why you see so much more trade in your live cattle delivery than you do on your feeder cattle, because it's a cash settlement deal. And you know, when you have the threat of live delivery, I mean, it has some teeth to it, and it's supposed to straighten up your basis a little bit. You look right now, we're just at about a par basis for the whole market this week, and so it's kind of helped, even though your boards continued to go up this week, right along with your cash fed cattle market. Let's look at your board on Wednesday. April live cattle futures up 42 cents at 123.15, going up but not as fast as cash, so they're kind of at par right there. June live cattle up 65 cents at 125.27, so going into a higher market, it doesn't bother guys to take delivery sometimes. Just look at your back months on live cattle, up 27 cents to up 90 cents. How about your feeder cattle? April feeder cattle up $1.15, 147.62, and we're starting to really see your cash feeders in the sale barns, you know, boost again like they did early the previous week before we saw that prospective plantings report, where we've washed over that and we've come back on. Your grains have settled down, and we're back seeing sharply higher trends in most of your feeder cattle markets across the whole United States. May feeder cattle contracts up 90 cents at 152.67. Look at your back months, and they were up 92 cents to up $1.60. So we're seeing those huge premiums on your cattle coming off grass again. And I still stress to you guys, even though the market's going up, I know you guys want to get all of it, but you know, you can kind of assure yourself, you know, cattle coming off in September, feeder cattle weights, your contract for September is 162.70. November is 163.70. Those look pretty darn good out there. How about your fat cattle trade on Wednesday? Iowa, 150 heads all, and I think they had more than that later on. It was later than what they turned those in, but all your Iowa trade, it was at 195 dress. That's $5 to $7 lower on a dress basis. Nebraska, 5,500 head confirmed from 120 to 123.75, but mostly in your direct trade, 123 was the market, and that'd be $3 higher. 195 dressed also in Nebraska. How about Kansas? A lot of trade there, 14,800 head. That's a pretty good movement there. 118 to 121, but mostly 120. That'd be $3 higher. Texas, 9,400 head. Good movement in Texas. 120 to 121, but 120 was the big price there. Colorado even printed, we've had more trade from different packers in Colorado in recent weeks than we've had for quite a while. So we're seeing that information come through the filters, and we're getting to see that. 1,900 head confirmed on Wednesday in Colorado at 120 to 123. But 195 on a dress basis was still available late in the afternoon. I had heard from some contacts and said they would still have it out there on Thursday morning. So that's a good thing, as we're not pulling back at all. And I would think you guys that still have cattle to sell, especially in the northern plains, can keep keep digging in and try to get all you can get. This is a week to get it. Box beef cutout values continue to surge higher every week. We saw this same thing happen a year ago. Of course, at that time we had empty shelves. Everybody was scared to death of COVID. We didn't know what it was going to bring, and we started to see your frontline workers and your processing plants not being able to continue to go to work. Of course, your unions were kind of encouraging them not to go to work, but we saw that, and then we saw a bit of price gouging going on, or a lot of it, however you want to say. But we're starting to see that again. Of course, it's a whole different scenario now. Now we're starting to see food service come back, as we're starting to see more of your big metropolitan areas open their restaurants to more and more people, higher population percentage inside the restaurant. And so with the addition of food service on top of our supermarket demand, and a lot of your big supermarkets are wanting to keep getting their full shipments of beef coming in, and we've got good export demand also, but this food service is coming back, and it's making a big difference. And your packers are still aggressive because they're starting, they're continuing to see their products increase in value every single day. But choice cuts on Wednesday afternoon, 266.31, up 354. Selects 255.19, up 389. So awful good movement there. How about your slaughter? 345,000 through Wednesday. That was 13,000 less than the previous week, 32,000 more than the same week a year ago, but kind of hard to judge that as they were having a hard time keeping those plants at full bore there because of COVID there a year ago. But coming to you on the road here, Weatherford, Texas, just a short drive up to the new Superior facilities that they have there. Got an online only auction. Be Wolf Cattle Company, your limousine breeders there. They've got an excellent buyback program. If you guys are interested in some limousine bulls there, we've got a bunch of them to sell, and it's going to be online only. So get on to dvauction.com, view and bid right there, and get you some of those, bought and get on that buyback program that they have. Don't forget, we've got a primetime video auction here on Thursday at 1 o'clock from Joplin Regional Stockyards. Look through their catalog. They got several lots on there, good cattle, and as good as demand is, I'll tell you what, they'll be in high demand. But don't forget about the primetime livestock video here today at 1 o'clock in the afternoon Central. Let's talk about your feeder cattle market. Real-time index on DV auction, 143.36, up a smooth buck. And that's big time, guys, because we've kind of shed off on that 7-day moving average some of those lower prices that were on the back end of that, and still gaining ground as much as $1 a day right there. And I tell you what, 143.36, your latest available CME cash feeder cattle index still hasn't hit $1.40 with your April spot feeder cattle contract at 147.62. I mean, leaving it way back in the dust. Maybe we need to move to that real-time index, which is automated and totally transparent. How about some of your big sales on Wednesday? OKC West, El Reno, Oklahoma, 6,900 head there. Good sale they had this week. Feeder steers $2 to $4 higher. Feeder heifers steady to $2 higher. Your stocker type calves, short yearlings or calf weight yearlings there, $3 to $5 higher. And but the softer new crop lighter weight calves mostly steady there. But look at a big string of cattle that John Cooper told me about there at OKC West. Came through the market there, 429 head in one whack, weighed at 896 and $137. Good sale there. How about winter livestock, Dodge City, Kansas, 3,700 head. Feeders selling $2 to $5 higher. Stocker type cattle $2 to $8 higher. Not a good comparison on your lighter weight calves, but they weren't as wild, similar to El Reno, Oklahoma. Got to talk about Bassett, Nebraska. Bassett had a sale on Wednesday, and man, it never ceases to amaze me the kind of prices that they can get up there in the sand hills of Nebraska. But 6,300 head on offer there. Look at this automated market report out of Cattle Market Central. Look at your best tested weights of steers, and are these impressive? Each one of these could be an individual quote, but these are the total summation of all the cattle in those weight groups, and that's the weighted average price on them. 754 head of the 5-weight steers in Bassett, average 554 at 183.69. Wow. 1,294 head of the 6-weight steers in Nebraska, average 645 at 171.79. 686 head of 7-weight steers in Bassett, average 739 with a weighted average price of 157.33. And 477 head of the 8-weight steers, averaged 838 at 150.51. Top billing there, and when we talk about individual quotes, goes to Dan Beck's home-raised steers. Had some big ones there. 63 head of them weighed 1,014 pounds at 138.25. Whoa, that was a big-time quote, and those cattle costing quite a bit a head. Let's look at some other quotes around the circuit. How about Cherokee Sales Company? And I'm always talking to you about big time quotes, and oh my gosh, they're the fanciest cattle, and they're all black, or they're really green condition, or empty, or this or whatever. But Jared Herman, their owner of Cherokee Sales Company, told me about 2 loads of 928 pound steers. He said they were number 2 Okies. Now, you guys that understand what that is, they were predominantly English, but a plainer type of cattle there. And number 2 Okies, you don't get right out on the edge of your seat and advertise cattle over the phone like that. But it just goes to tell you, guys want to get their hands on cattle, and it doesn't really make that big a difference on them. If they got fair weigh up and fair condition, the cattle are going to gain, and they're going to bring the same price whenever they're fat, probably for the most part. But 2 loads, Cherokee Sales Company, Cherokee, Oklahoma, 928 pound, number 2 Okies at 136.25. I mean, 2 weeks ago, you couldn't have sold the best ones that walk for that. Also talking about Cherokee Sales Company, here in a couple weeks, I'm going to be going out to the very first Mid-States video auction. Now, this is a team-up deal along with Neil Beret at Mankato, Kansas. And it's going to be on Tuesday, April the 20th. It's through DV Auction. It's going to be the first Mid-States video sale there. And don't forget about that, and be sure to tune into that one. How about some more individual quotes? Another one out of OKC West, El Reno, Oklahoma. Some Red Angus green steers, 54 head of them, weighed 1,179 pounds. Off grass, guys. 1,179 pounds. Or may have been some wheat, not sure, but they were coming off forage there, and that is some big steers. 54 head weight, 1179 at 124.25. That's better than what your fat cattle market is, and no telling what it's going to cost to feed them, maybe $1.20. How about your best quote that I saw anywhere? It tickles me to death to be able to talk about this. It's your Zach Tran top quote for the day. come out of Farmington Regional Stockyards in Farmington, Missouri. This is extreme southeast Missouri, tell you just north of the Boot Hill right there, but they've got new ownership here in the last couple of years, and they are aggressive and they are pushing and they are getting the cattle in there, and they're having pre-vac sales the first and third week of the months there, and they had one of those this week and brought in a string of cattle from Dean and Dallas Wilson of Dittmer, Missouri. Tell you what, those guys know all about the vet practices there. One of them is a vet there at the sale barn, and they had some lightweight calves that they had bought as peewees, brought them in, backgrounded them. Tell you what, you can put together cattle, add value to them, and make a lot of money off of them. But peewees bought weighing in the 2s and 3s or maybe a little heavier than that, brought them in, give them a good backgrounding program, a complete health program, and tested all of them PI negative. 94 head of them weighed 555 at $195. And that's your feeder flash for Thursday.